Hello, a very good evening. Welcome to the Mbn News Ii news coming to you live from our studios on the 10th Avenue Extension, Green Estate. We also live across our social media handles on Mbn 360. My name is El Samuels. The headlines. President John Dramani Mahama calls for peace, unity, and rejection of extremism during Eid al-Adha. In business, government suspends contract mining directive after engagement with mine workers union. On the international front, World Health Organization warns of catastrophic collation as disease and conflict deepen in Democratic Republic of Congo. Details of the stories and more coming your way in the next 30 minutes of your time. The President, John Dramani Mahama, has urged Ghanaians to uphold peace, tolerance, and national unity as Muslims across the country celebrate Eid al-Adha. The President called on citizens to reject the forms of extremism and work together to protect Ghana's democratic stability and social harmony. President John Dramani Mahama has delivered a strong message of peace and coexistence to Ghanaians in his Eid al-Adha address, urging citizens to reject division, violence, and extremist ideologies. Speaking to the nation as a Muslim commemorates the sacred festival of sacrifice, the President emphasized the need for religious tolerance, mutual respect, and national unity, especially at a time when several parts of the world continue to face insecurity and instability linked to extremism. He commended the Muslim community for its contribution to national development and called on all faith-based groups to continue promoting peace and understanding across the country. The President further stressed that Ghana's strength lies in its unity and peaceful coexistence among people of different religious and ethnic background. He encouraged citizens to use the Eid celebration as an opportunity to demonstrate compassion, generosity, and support for the vulnerable in society. President Mahama also assured Ghanaians of government commitment to maintaining peace and security while safeguarding the country's democratic values. Eid al-Adha celebration, also known as the Festival of Sacrifice, is observed by Muslims worldwide to honor the faith and obedience of Prophet Ibrahim.
The lessons of Eid al-Adha therefore extend far beyond the slaughtering of animals. The occasion calls on us to sacrifice, be selfless, don't hate one another, not to be greedy, not to divide amongst ourselves, not to be dishonest, and not to be indifferent to each other's suffering. It reminds us that true worship is grounded in sincerity, devotion, humility, and compassion. As Allah tells us in the Holy Quran, in Surah Al-Hajj, He says, "Their meat will not reach Allah, nor will their blood, but what reaches Allah is piety from you." So it's not the meat that you slaughter or the blood that is spilled that will reach Allah. What will reach Allah is your heart and how pious you are. This verse beautifully teaches us that Allah values not only the physical sacrifice, but also the righteousness, devotion, and charity behind the sacrifice. Islam also teaches us that the meat from the sacrifice should be shared amongst family, friends, neighbors, and most importantly, the poor and vulnerable in society. This spirit of sharing and caring is among the greatest strength of the Islamic religion. My brothers and sisters, the message of Eid is particularly important in today's world, where many societies are facing division, intolerance, violence, and conflict. Ghana continues to stand out as a shining example of peaceful coexistence among people of different faiths and backgrounds. Christians and Muslims have lived together harmoniously for generations, sharing communities, schools, businesses, and even family ties. We must continue to preserve and strengthen this harmony. I urge all Ghanaians, irrespective of religion or ethnicity, to continue promoting peace, tolerance, understanding, and mutual respect. We must reject extremism, political tolerance, tribal divisions, and all acts that threaten our national unity.
The President, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. The Office of the Attorney General has backed a Supreme Court case seeking to allow all registered members of political parties to participate in the selection of parliamentary and presidential candidates. The Attorney General's Department has thrown its support behind a case before the Supreme Court aimed at opening political party primaries to the full membership of parties rather than limiting voting right to selected delegates. The case challenges the current delegate system used by the major political parties in Ghana, arguing that it restricts broader participation and weakens internal democratic processes. According to the Attorney General's position, expanding primaries to include all registered party members could strengthen transparency, accountability, and fairness in the selection of candidates for public office. Legal analyst says the case could have a far-reaching implication for Ghana's political landscape if the Supreme Court rules in favor of the proposal. Political parties may be required to review their constitution and electoral procedures to comply with any new legal interpretation. Supporters of the move argue that opening primaries will reduce allegations of manipulation, vote buying, and delegate influence, whilst giving ordinary party members a strong voice in decision-making. However, critics have raised concerns over potential costs, logistical challenges, and security implications of conducting a nationwide internal elections involving the entire party membership. The Supreme Court is expected to hear detailed argument from all parties involved in the coming weeks as political observers closely monitor a case that could reshape the future of internal party democracy in Ghana. In another story, the former Vice President Mahmoud Bawumia has urged Muslims across Ghana and the world to uphold the values of sacrifice, compassion, and unity as they celebrate the Eid al-Adha, one of the most significant festivals in Islam. Former Vice President Mahmoud Bawumia has extended warm wishes to Muslim communities during the Eid al-Adha celebration, calling on believers to reflect on the deeper values of faith, sacrifice, and togetherness. In his Eid message, Dr. Bawumia encouraged Muslims to emulate the example of Prophet Ibrahim through acts of obedience, generosity, and commitment to the well-being of others. He emphasized the importance of compassion and support for the needy, especially during the festive period, and urged citizens to strengthen the bonds of peace and national unity. Dr. Bawumia also called on Ghanaians to continue promoting religious tolerance and coexistence, stressing that Ghana's stability and progress depends on harmony among people of different faiths and backgrounds. The former vice president commended the Muslim community for its contribution to national development and encouraged the youth to remain guided by discipline, hard work, and respect for national values. Eid al-Adha, also known as the Festival of Sacrifice, commemorates the willingness of Prophet Ibrahim to sacrifice his son in obedience to Allah's command, and is marked by prayers, charity, and a sharing of food with family, friends, and the less privileged. Now to the corridors of the Auditor General has called for sweeping institutional and financial reforms following the discovery of more than 580 million Ghana cedis in irregularities linked to Ghana's hosting of the 13th African Games. The Auditor General has demanded urgent reforms across government institutions after an audit into the 13th African Games uncovered financial irregularities estimated at over 580 million Ghana cedis. The audit report highlighted procurement breaches, unsupported expenditures, contract irregularities, and weak financial controls surrounding preparation and execution of the continental sporting event. According to the Auditor General, the findings expose serious lapses in accountability and transparency in the management of public funds, prompting calls for stricter oversight mechanisms and reform in state expenditure process. The report is also recommending the recovery of unaccounted funds and possible sanctions against individuals and institutions found culpable in a financial infraction. The revelation have triggered renewed public debate over government spending and fiscal discipline, with governance experts urging authorities to ensure that all persons responsible are held accountable regardless of status or position. Parliament is expected to scrutinize the findings as pressure mounts on the state agencies to improve procurement compliance, auditing standards, and project monitoring system. The 13th African Games hosted by Ghana was intended to showcase the country's capacity to stage major international sports events, but the latest audit findings now threatens to overshadow the successes recorded during the competition. Now straight to the Bank of Ghana, where they filed an appeal against a court ruling that restored the operating license of GN Savings and Loan, escalating the legal battle over the country's financial sector cleanup exercise. The Bank of Ghana has challenged a recent court decision ordering the restoration of the license of GN Savings and Loan. The central bank argues that the ruling could undermine regulatory authority and affect efforts aimed at maintaining stability and confidence within Ghana's financial sector. The legal dispute stems from the occasion of the company's license during the financial sector cleanup exercise initiated several years ago to address insolvency, governance failures, and regulatory breaches among financial institutions. A court has earlier ruled in favor of GN Savings and Loan, directing that its license be reinstated. However, the Bank of Ghana insists the decision raises significant legal and regulatory concerns and has therefore moved to overturn the judgment through appeals process. Officials of the bank maintain that all actions taken during the cleanup exercise were necessary to protect depositors, safeguard the broader financial system. The case is expected to attract significant public and legal interest, as it could influence future regulatory actions and shape judicial interpretation of the powers of financial regulators in Ghana. Observers says the outcome may also have implications for other institutions affected by the financial sector reforms undertaken by the Bank of Ghana. And on this note, we go for a quick commercial break while we return business with Na Dede Go.
Let me introduce you to Farm Global Company Limited. At Farm Global, we offer you a variety of groceries and provisions to choose from: cosmetics, perfumes, bed sheets, undies, boxes, you can mention all. This is our perfume stand, and we have variety of perfumes you can choose from for yourself and your loved ones. We cover Latapa, fragrance world, and quality perfumes that will last long on your body. On our cosmetic section, we have variety of lotions, creams, hair pomade that can keep you going. Let your feet do the talking and your hand do the showcasing. Your babies are not left out. We got you covered. At Farm Global, we make shopping a beautiful experience for you and your family. You can be at home, send your list, and get it delivered for free. Yes, for free. We know you can pay for it, but we want to show appreciation. We bring everything to you at your doorstep. Locate Farm Global on the Nungwa-Boade Road, just opposite Redeemer Chemist. Call us on 0592 0999 52 or 050 384-3633. Farm Global, fast, reliable, and convenient.
Welcome back from the break. In business, government has suspended its proposed contract mining directive following discussions with the Ghana Mine Workers Union aimed concerns over potential job losses and the future of workers within the mining sector. Government has temporarily suspended the implementation of its contract mining directive after engaging the Ghana Mine Workers Union and other stakeholders in the mining industry. The directive, which had generated strong opposition from the labor groups, was criticized over fear that it could lead to job insecurity, weaken workers' protection, and utter long-term employment conditions in the mining sector. Following consultations, government announced the suspension to allow for broader dialogue and review of concerns raised by organized labor and industry players. The Ghana Mine Workers Union welcomed the decision, describing it as a positive step towards protecting workers' interests and maintaining industrial harmony within the sector. Industry observers say the development highlights the importance of stakeholder engagement in policy implementation, especially in strategic sectors such as mining, which remains a major contributor to Ghana's economy. Government has assured stakeholders that further consultations will be held to reach a consensus on the way forward while balancing productivity, investment, and workers' welfare. The suspension is expected to ease tensions within mining communities, and discussions continue over the further structure and regulations of contract mining operations in Ghana. Also, stakeholders within Ghana's small-scale fisheries sector have presented a set of strategic policy recommendations to the Fisheries Commission aimed at improving sustainability, livelihoods, and effective management of the marine resources. Stakeholders in the small-scale fisheries sector have submitted strategic policy recommendations to the Fisheries Commission as part of efforts to strengthen Ghana's fishery industry and protect the livelihood of coastal communities. The proposals focus on improving fisheries governance, enforcing sustainable fishing practice, and enhancing support systems for fish flocks across the country. Participants at the engagement stressed the need for stronger collaboration between government agencies, fishing communities, and development partners to address growing concerns over illegal fishing, declining fish stocks, and environmental degradation. The recommendations also highlighted the importance of providing financial support, modern fishing equipment, and alternative livelihood opportunities to boost productivity and reduce pressure on marine resources. Stakeholders further called for increased public education and stricter enforcement of fisheries regulations to ensure long-term sustainability within the sector. Officials of the Fisheries Commission assured stakeholders that the proposals would be carefully reviewed and incorporated into ongoing policy discussions aimed at reforming and modernizing the fisheries industry. The small-scale fisheries sector remains a vital source of employment, food security, and economic activity for thousands of families in coastal communities across Ghana. That's it with the business news. Up next is sports and entertainment with Wendy Lati. In sports, football supporters in the Democratic Republic of the Congo are demanding refunds for the World Cup qualifying match ticket amid growing public health concerns following a reported Ebola outbreak in parts of the country.
Authorities and football stakeholders in the Democratic Republic of the Congo are facing mounting pressure from supporters seeking refunds for World Cup qualifying match tickets after fears linked to an Ebola outbreak sparked public concern. The outbreak, which has heightened health and safety anxieties among residents, has affected public confidence in attending large gatherings, including sporting events. Some fans have reportedly called on football authorities and event organizers to either refund purchased tickets or provide clear health and safety assurances ahead of scheduled matches. Health officials continue to monitor the situation closely while urging citizens to remain calm and adhere to preventive measures aimed at containing the spread of the disease. Sports analysts say the development could impact attendance, logistics, and preparations for upcoming international fixtures if concerns persist. The situation has also renewed discussions about emergency preparedness and public health protocols during major sporting events across the region. Authorities are expected to engage football governing bodies and public health agencies to determine the next course of action while balancing public safety with sporting commitments.
And in the world of entertainment, award-winning Ghanaian artist Black Sherif has sparked excitement among fans after announcing the upcoming release of his highly anticipated new single titled Swagger, set to drop on May 29.
Ghanaian music star Black Sherif has officially teased his latest single, Swagger, ahead of his scheduled release on May 29th. The announcement has generated massive anticipation on social media, with fans eagerly awaiting what many believe could become another major hit from the award-winning artist. Known for blending Afrobeats, draw and high-life influences with emotionally driven storytelling, Black Sherif has continued to cement his place as one of Africa's fastest rising music talents. Short promotional clips and teaser visuals shared online have already triggered widespread reactions, with supporters praising the artist's creativity and unique sound. Music analysts say the release of Swagger could further strengthen Black Sherif's growing international profile following the success of previous projects and performances across global stages. The artist has enjoyed significant success both locally and internationally, earning recognition for chart-topping songs and its impact on the contemporary African music scene. Fans are expected to stream and download the new single across major digital music platforms once it officially drops on May 29.
That's all on the sports and the entertainment news. Up next is international news with Samuels.
On the foreign news, we start from Africa, where the World Health Organization has raised alarm over what it described as catastrophic collision of disease outbreak and ongoing armed conflict in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. The World Health Organization says the Democratic Republic of Congo is facing a dangerous convergence of public health crisis and insecurity, with outbreaks such as Ebola spreading in regions already affected by conflict and displacement. According to the global health body, fighting in several parts of the country is making it difficult for medical teams to reach affected communities, deliver supplies, and carry out surveillance needed to contain the disease. Health workers are reportedly operating in high volatile conditions with limited access to remote areas where suspected cases are emerging. The WHO warns that such disruption significantly increases the risk of further transmission and loss of life. The situation is further complicated by the population displacement as families flee violence and move across regions, making it harder to track infections and maintain vaccination and treatment programs. Public health experts say the overlapping crisis could overwhelm already fragile health system if urgent support and security measures are not strengthened. WHO is calling for coordinated international assistance, improve humanitarian access, and enhance disease surveillance to prevent the outbreak from escalating into a wider regional emergency. Authorities in the Democratic Republic of Congo are working with global partners to contain the outbreak, whilst also addressing ongoing security challenges that continue to disrupt response operations. Away from the African story, we move straight to the Middle East, where an Israeli airstrike in Gaza City has killed the newly appointed head of Hamas military wing, escalating tensions in the ongoing conflict and triggering fear of further retaliatory attacks in the region. An Israeli military strike in Gaza City has reportedly killed the newly appointed head of Hamas armed wing in what marks a significant escalation in the ongoing hostilities between Israel and Hamas. According to early reports, the targeted strike hit a location in Gaza City where the senior militant figures were believed to be operating. The individual killed has recently assumed leadership of Hamas military wing following previous losses in the group's command structure. Israel military has not released full operational details, but has consistently stated its operations are aimed at dismantling militant infrastructure leadership network responsible for attacks against Israel territories. The development is expected to intensify already high tensions in the region, with concerns over a possible retaliatory strikes and further civilian impact amidst continued fighting. Humanitarian agencies continue to warn of worsening conditions in Gaza, where infrastructure damage, displacement, and shortages of essential supplies have placed civilians under severe strain. International calls for these escalations are growing, with diplomats urging restraint and renewed efforts towards ceasefire negotiation to prevent further deterioration of the conflict. The situation remains fluid as both sides assess the implication of the latest strike, which could reshape the leadership dynamics within Hamas military structure whilst deepening the broader regional crisis. And as we wrap up this evening, Mbn News at 6 live and direct from our studios on the 10th Avenue Extension, Greater Estate. The news was also live across our social media handles on Mbn 360, Facebook, YouTube, and X. But before we take leave of you, a recap of the stories making headlines. President John Dramani Mahama calls for peace, unity, and rejection of extremism during Eid al-Adha. In business, government suspends contract mining directive after engagement with mine workers union. On the international front, World Health Organization warns of catastrophic collation as disease and conflict deepen in Democratic Republic of Congo. For more news, log on to Mbn 360. My name is El Samuels. We want to say a very good evening to you, and thanks for staying with us. Enjoy the rest of our evening.